Welcome back. I'm continuing on with my Father of the Bride binging. So if you've been following, this means that this is my review of Father of the Bride Part 2. It's the only one, couldn't find Daddy's Little Dividend, or Father's Little Dividend, or whatever it's called. So I just have Father of the Bride Part 2 as the only sequel in this decade-spanning franchise that I watched. But yeah, so if you're new to my channel, if you were just happening to get on YouTube and you're like, you know what, I really want to see a review, I want to see if anybody's reviewed Father of the Bride Part 2, and you see my face, you're like, who's this guy? He's using like an iPhone, obviously, and his face, and it's really low budget. It's like, I'm a blind film critic, so it's easy, kind of easy for me to be able to look sort of where my hand is. Like I understand sort of relativity. I don't actually know what's on the screen. I just always assume my face, part of it, is on the screen, so cool. Plus, iPhone actually has this little thing that kind of lets me know when I'm leveled. But I know as the video progresses, who knows where it ends up. Kind of like this film. Who knows where this film's going to end up? So I don't know that we ever needed sequels to Father of the Bride. But hey, you know what? They make money. So we got a sequel to Father of the Bride, a film I consider to be a classic, the one with Steve Martin. They brought back and they were like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we took a spin on Father's Little Dividend and Diane Keaton got pregnant, which seems like a stretch in the 90s. But we did it anyway. Steve Martin and Diane Keaton had a baby in 1995, which seems like they would have been maybe out of the range for that, but let's go with it because the movie wants us to. That's the surprise in the film, is it's not just the daughter, it's the mother too, and they're pregnant at the same time, because when George finds out that his daughter's having a baby, he gets all insecure about his age and wants to go out and be young again. And one of those things that I guess old men do when they get young is they get horny again, or fake being horny. And so they did it. And then now there's a baby coming. So that's the film. And they bring back Martin Short and B.D. Wong, the wedding planners, who are now, I guess, family friends, to do anything that the film needs them to do, really. They've got to plan a baby shower and decorate the baby room. Just, I mean, whatever Martin Short needs to do, right? Whatever you need to do to get Martin Short into a film. If they needed Martin Short to park cars, I'm sure he would just park cars. But that's what they needed him to do. So they kept Martin Short in the fold, and his character and George sort of become friends, or George learns to tolerate him more or something. The Dobermans from hell are still around to haunt George and give Steve Martin the chance for a little bit more physical comedy. You know, he does like to do the physical comedy. God, even in Only Murders in the Building, he's still, like, at his age, still finding ways of doing physical comedy. That whole sequence when he was drugged, that was, that was like, gotta give Steve Martin something to do physical comedy wise, because that's what he does. He's all in. So this film does that too. I know it sounds like I don't like Father of the Bride Part 2. It's not Father of the Bride, and it doesn't feel like we needed a Part 2 to this. It's not like The Godfather, where it's like, oh, okay, I understand why we did this, because there's more story to tell. Here, it's just like, the Look Who's Talking franchise, where it's like, oh, we're gonna have another baby, and now the dogs are talking. It's like, how many? No, let's stop finding out who's talking at some point. you know, but yeah, so it's okay. I was less impressed with it than the other one, but I still find it charming because the cast is charming. Because when you get these people together, because it brings everybody back, um, it still has its own little charm to it. I admittedly watched this in a weird way, and I got weird audio description. I got robotic audio description, so that's what I get. I guess, I mean, the Father of the Bride was on Spectrum Access, but not Part 2, which is odd, because they're both on. They're both on TBS right now. So you got one of them audio described, so you can watch the first one, but not the second one. So I was like, man, I gotta go find this stuff now. So I go find the one with the Robo Description. Really, this is the best we can do. I've been having great audio description. Now I have Robo Description. So, yeah, it didn't even give me a narrator or a company name at the end of the film. It was one of those where it's just like, you listen to the credits and it just dies out and you're just, all right, cool. And, I didn't like how, there was no balancing. I get that a lot with cheaply made Robo Description, Terminator description, Skynet description is it's not balanced with the sound of the film. So every time the audio description comes down, it drops the sound of the movie like really low. So the audio description can become the dominant audio track. Like they're two competing audio tracks. And every time one comes in, the other one has to go. So, which is fine. I mean, like this one was timed well. Nobody was talking on top of anybody, which is sometimes a problem with Robo Description. But this one didn't do that. It just constantly cut out. Continued to cut out the sound, all the background noises, and in between dialogue scenes, any background music that was playing or dialogue or whatever it was just getting constantly dropped out so that we could get the audio description. It just, other films, they just balance it and they level it, and this just had none of that. So, but this isn't the first time I've seen Father of the Bride Part 2. I have actually seen this with eyes before being blind. I actually saw this in theaters. I was little. This movie came out in 1995, so I would have been, I'm not going to tell you how old, but I'm going to leave that to be a mystery. But I was young, let's say. Well, I'll say young. I was a minor when I saw this. Guarantee you this was something that, parents wanted to see, and I didn't choose, but I went to see it. And I think I've seen this on TV since then. I don't think I've seen this nearly as much as the first one, because I was less familiar with the beats in the film. For some reason, I remembered a lot of the birth sequences at the end. Like, I knew the last, 40 minutes of the film cold. But but the rest of the film, and I remembered them staying at the house and him not wanting to move the Dobermans off the bed. But there were chunks of this movie where I was like, well, I don't know, I don't remember this. So I don't know how many times I've seen it. That's the weird thing about back in the day when we used to just flip through cable, is sometimes you just flip into a movie at a certain time and you end up watching the same, halfway in progress. You end up not catching something at the beginning, but you end up catching something at the midpoint or near the end. So I think I've seen the end of this film probably 5 or 6 times, but maybe the rest of the movie twice. So so this was another time where I just had the opportunity to watch the whole thing all the way through. But yeah, I don't think Andy Garcia and Gloria Estefan, who are both above 60, are going to have a part 2 to their series. But if they do, at least I'll have a comparison point. should the newest version have a father's little dividend version. Anyway, so that's it for me. I'm gonna give Father of the Bride Part 2 a B+. It's entertaining enough, and sometimes when you just put a charming cast together, you can make magic work out of you can milk something that isn't even there. I've seen people trash some films that had really talented casts, and I'm like, I actually enjoyed it. I mean, I know the film itself wasn't great, but that's a really enjoyable cast. And they worked with nothing. I won't name too many films, but I know people constantly lament The Big Wedding. And I thought the cast was really good in that. I know the film is just but I mean, it has a good cast, and sometimes it's just fun to watch talented people be talented. So, other times talented people don't do well, and they're in the wrong film or cast in the wrong thing, and it doesn't work out. But sometimes talented people can do magic with very little, and I think that happened here. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can check out my website, macthemovieguy.com, for more reviews. And you can go to the audio description project and find out what has audio description where, like where to watch Father of the Bride Part 2. And you can go to the ADNA, the ADNA.org. And you can see who's narrating what, where. It didn't help me with this, but yeah, because robots don't have names. But anyway, so that's it for that. So I now on to the Annie Garcia version.